What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane. That's Cole Atshaw. And St. John's has started the new season with a roaring 32-point victory against Fordham at Carnesecca Arena. Cole, it took a while for St. John's to get going. It was a little bit stagnant for a minute there in the first half, but once it opened up, it really opened up. Your opening thoughts here on St. John's first game of the season?
1-0, undefeated season incoming.
Yes, we're well on our way. We look like a well-oiled machine. I mean, put the banner up now. What do we got to lose?
I thought it was a great game. Obviously, great once we pulled away. That first 10 minutes was a little rocky. Offense looked rough. Defense looked amazing. I think some of the questions and concerns that we had initially brought up coming into the season reared their ugly heads. 3-point shooting was rocky. Defensive rebounds, probably gave up too many offensive rebounds. Foul trouble, specifically guys playing the four. I think Aaron Scott finished the game with 4 fouls. Obviously, RJ Lewis fouled out. I know all of our fans know that I'm a big proponent of the Twin Towers look. So I love that we got to see Vince and Ruben Prey out on the court at the same time. Pat's a fan of the small ball action. So I was happy that we at least got some double big man looks.
Yeah, close to 14 feet of center out there with the two of those guys. And I thought Prey got comfortable out there at the end of the game. That was good to see him get that dunk and looked pretty well, moving around the court and getting physical, boxing out, making his presence felt. Good to see that. And I thought Vince, for the most part, looked good moving his feet. Still struggles to really control the paint with his size, but I'd rather have him than not have him. It's a good option to have, especially considering, like you said, our lack of true size on the other positions. I'm not worried about that per se, but the lack of true size at the 4 spot and Zuby, who will have to prove himself, to have Vince and Prey waiting in the wings and developing along the way is not only a good thing, but it's a fun process to watch. So it was good to see. Those struggles you said, 3-point shooting, offense rebound, I thought the same stuff early on. I think defensively that first half we saw some really good things. Fordham was stuck at 3 points for a while. They eventually got going a little bit, and when they did get going, it was mostly because of their offensive rebounds. I think 8 of their first 10 points are from offensive rebounds. In the first half, we held them to 33% shooting overall, so you could tell we were limiting good looks, and they were able to capitalize on some rebounding opportunities, but for the most part, we're doing a really good job defensively.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, I thought Kadari played an absolutely amazing game. It's so much fun watching his control of the basketball game. He just plays at such a slow, methodical pace and knows when to attack and can take what defense is giving him. Obviously, Simeon Wilcher, career high scoring, played a tremendous game. You and I were texting back and forth one of the games, and I thought, obviously Sim played amazing, shot the ball super efficiently, but I thought the point that you made in a text message to me was probably my favorite point of Sim's game, and that's that he looked confident. I think that's the most important thing for him this year, that he doesn't get down on himself, that he lets the game come to him, takes his shots when they're open, and he played unbelievable today. If he can be our leading scorer for the season, as he was tonight, sky's the limit. You know what you're going to get from Davon Smith. You know what you're going to get from Kadari Richmond. If Simeon Wilcher can play like he did today for the rest of the season, Sweet 16 might be too low of a floor.
Yes. At this level, people can play. And when it comes down to it, I think the most important thing for a basketball player who has the requisite skills is to be confident. And you can see it on some players. Once that hits, it changes them completely. And I think we saw a completely different version of Simeon tonight, and hopefully it's one that lasts the whole season. And, there's a couple guys who have, Frank, when we did the podcast with Eye on the Storm podcast, and Zach on his preview article, both predicted Simeon would be the team's leading scorer one game of the season, and they're right so far. So we'll see. You said Kadari had a great game. I'll go ahead and bring up the beautiful graphics that our man Cole is now working on, who was able to shout out Kadari with our first player of the game nod of the season. I think well-deserved. Could have gone Simeon's way, but 16 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, just did it in his typical, controlled pace of play, timely baskets, really orchestrating stuff. There was a few plays where you could tell he was just settling the team down in the half court, pointing fingers and putting guys in the right spot, getting Brady a nice couple looks, helping guys find other guys for passes. So just a great opening game from Kadari, and hopefully signs of things to come. Kadari, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I gotta get out ahead of this, guys. I will never pronounce names right. It's just better if you just let me go with it now. Okay, I apologize to anyone who I offend.
It's the New York accent, Pat. We forgive it.
I don't have an accent. I just can't pronounce things.
I think like digging in more into the box score, I think Zuby had a little bit of a challenging game. 5 points, only 1 rebound. Obviously, not the same level that we saw him play against Rutgers. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong. The stats on Zuby from the Rutgers game, the vast majority of his rebounds were on the offensive glass in that game. Correct?
I'm pretty sure he had 10 offensive rebounds.
Yeah. And then only 1 defensive rebound today. Like we mentioned earlier, defensive rebound has to get better. Like we can't give up that many offensive rebounds, especially against a team like Fordham that's not particularly good.
Absolutely.
I know in his post game press conference, Patino had some quotes about Zuby's play today and about Aaron Scott, that both of them didn't play up to the level that he expects of them. I also think he said that RJ Lewis was going to be walking back to campus after punting the ball, or back to Manhattan after punting the ball into the stands for that technical after fouling out. So,
yeah, I mean, RJ's got to do a better job controlling his emotions there. I get it. You know, he wasn't having the game he wanted. Stuck in foul trouble early, stuck in foul trouble late, and eventually fouled out with quite a bit of time left before. You know, he could have had a bigger night scoring. He had a decent night scoring as is with the limited minutes, but he's got to control that part of his game. You know, teams are going to go at him, test him mentally, and he's just too good of a player to have something like that take him away from a basketball game. And if you ask me, those fouls are pretty obvious. I wouldn't for the aside from perhaps the first offensive foul that they don't call every time, but I could still see why they called it. I don't think he had too much of an argument. That's just me, but you know, I'm soft on the refs. The ref says is Scott. I'm curious that he called out Scott. I didn't hear these quotes. I thought Scott had a good game. Maybe I could see a little stuff on the boards and interior wise where you could say he had to get tougher, but I mean, I think he's going to be a huge part. And tonight was just like, you know, kind of how I figured he'd fit in: hit shots on the perimeter, make plays defensively. Never the guy who's going to lead us in shots taken, but always the guy who's a threat to score 15 plus points and just be a huge asset out there.
And following up on RJ, I think another thing, he'll play better as the season goes along. Today wasn't his best game, but again, back to that confidence point, you can see that new shooting stroke and his confidence in shooting from deep, like already making those 2 early threes early in the game. Like I loved seeing that his confidence in himself and his willingness to pull up and shoot. Thought Davon Smith might have had a little bit of a struggle from the offensive side of the ball today, and scoring will come with him. We know that he's at times a streaky shooter and that he'll fill it up at times for this team, obviously, but 6 assists from him, 3 steals, played well defensively. I thought he played a good game despite not being as involved as he can be. On the offensive side, you mentioned Vince before. I thought he played much better than we had seen him in the exhibition games. I liked his activity on the defensive glass, especially like in the first half when I kind of thought we were struggling, giving up too many offensive rebounds. I thought he at least pulled down a few in traffic and sort of asserted his size in the paint on the defensive glass. I like it. He doesn't seem to have the raw explosiveness that Zuby does down low, but he does seem to have a nice like touch and a nice hook shot in the paint on offense. I like that.
That high-low look in the first half looked like a pretty decent look. It came up short, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, and then just Kadari again, an unbelievable double game. Rick did say post game, I don't know what he can't do. So I'm thrilled already. 1 game in, our superstar looks tremendous. So
yeah, that play in the first half where he kind of darted across the midline with the free throw line, got a rebound in a one hand, kind of in one motion, pass ahead for Simeon for a breakaway layup was kind of, you know, you could see the impact total package right there. And he continued to do that, you know, the rest of the first half and the whole game. Huge game by him. Smith is a lightning bolt. He makes things happen in flurries. I think 6 assists on the night. I think 4 of them might have happened in like a 5 minute span. Some of those were really good looks that got guys going. Got Brady a good look in the corner for a three. Speaking of shooting, Brady tonight hit a three, hit some mid-range jumpers, made some good plays, I thought, around the basketball, always in the right spot. Some hockey assists, some rebounds. Does struggle defensively. He's going to be the one guy who will be a, kind of an operation for the staff to figure out how are we going to switch everything with Brady on the court. Are we going to have some limitations? Are we going to have some caveats? If Brady's on, do we kind of switch before the screen happens? Do we try to get him out of those actions because he's going to get seeked out by those smaller guards? And seemingly, the rest of the guys in the top end of the rotation, Zuby included, are guys you seem comfortable switching those high ball screens and that action on the perimeter. So keep an eye out there. To me, Brady looked like a whole different guy. Like when you could see the back of his jersey, I was like, is that even Brady Dunlap? He looked like a man compared to the boy he was last year. And we'll see how that holds up throughout the season. But I thought it was a good start for him. The first three he took looked a little bit rushed. Didn't come close. Finally, it got the second one to fall and then hit some mid-range jumpers as well.
I know we've talked about it ad nauseum over the offseason that he really put on a lot of weight, focused on that. To me, his shot still looks a little flat. I think it'll probably take him a little bit of time to learn to play with that bigger body. But back to our keyword of the day being confidence. That's one thing Brady Dunlap does not lack in. He is always ready to pull it anytime he gets the ball. And you mentioned sort of like the hockey assists. I liked the 1-3 that he set up for Aaron Scott, where Davon Smith kicked to the corner for Brady that might have had a somewhat open shot, maybe slightly contested, and he made the great extra smart pass to Aaron Scott there on the corner on the wing for the wide open three. Smart, just another smart player. That's another thing. I love the skills that we have. I love the athleticism that Rick has put on this team together, but also he has a bunch of smart, heady players between a guy like Kadari, a guy like Brady Dunlap. Just
absolutely great. The passing you mentioned, that's something I thought of too. And prior to that, there was a situation where Scott kind of took a rush three where he had Brady wide open. And, some guys could hold grudges. And the next time they get a look, which was Brady in this sense, could have been like, okay, my turn to take this decent three. Instead, he gave up a good look to get a great shot. And hopefully Scott will realize, Scott being the one who made that great look, the next time he's got a chance to give up a decent look to get someone else a great look, he'll take that opportunity as well. And that's the type of stuff that hopefully senior leadership and great coaching will pass on and become, habit for these guys as the season goes on. And Wilcher's shot. Speaking of shots looking great and confidence, I mean, this is 2 games in a row now where he has just looked, zero hesitation. That mid-range jump shot looks pure. He had a few moves in the first half off the dribble going to the rim that I had not seen once last season. I think he still struggles a little bit with pressure while he's got a live dribble. But in the open court, he looked super confident. And when he had a chance to get even a half second of space to get that jump shot off, it looked like it was going in.
You brought up earlier the switching man-to-man defense. We were sort of switching 1 through 5. Rick for sure seemed like he stuck that for at least the first half of the first 10 minutes of the beginning of the first half, exclusively without showing any press or anything like that. I'm not sure how much I really liked that. It seemed like Fordham picked up pretty quickly that they were switching everything and tried bringing the center with Zuby guarding them up for ball screens to get a guard get Zuby onto a guard, and then they would try to attack. And we did a pretty good job after switching that, our guards, at defending the big man Zona. I think his name was the guy for Fordham. Yeah. But one of the things you talking about Simeon, I was watching and paying close attention to them constantly attacking Zuby with these switching pick and rolls and getting the big man in the paint. And Sim was then the man guarding the Zona and didn't defer, didn't just give up presence in the paint. Did a great job of defending, trying to get into the passing lane, keeping the ball from being able to get inside. And I really liked that sort of dog mentality on defense. He wasn't just
Oh
going to
yeah.
acquiesce and bail out. And then they ended up getting I think a blocked shot. The guard drove, Sim quickly switched off of the big man. Zuby was ended up able to block the shot. I really liked Simeon Wilcher's game today all around, not only just at the offensive end, not only with his pure jump shot. Like he did a great job defensively. I thought he did a lot of things that we didn't see in year one Simeon Wilcher.
Oh yeah. I mean, sky's the limit. I agree. Did some things around the basketball, not just scoring. Was active on the glass, active making cuts. Seems like a leader out there. We know he's always been a great teammate on the bench, and this year he gets to show it on the court. So keep it up, Sim. The switching on defense, I don't know if I 100% agree. It's going to be a case by case thing. Aside from that, where it does hurt you is on the glass because now you've got Zuby still chasing the perimeter when a shot goes up,
Mm-hmm.
then he's not in there. But I think, for the most part, we did a good job that first half limiting their scoring opportunities that weren't off second chance opportunities, and it's got to be a challenge. It's 6 in one end, half a dozen in the other. Are you gonna play this way and give up that, or play another way and give up something else? And I think with the five group that started, or if you bring in Smith for Wiltshire, that 2 for 4 of Kaderi, Lewis, and Scott is built for doing exactly what you said, digging down on that big on the switch and be able to hold their own and not losing any ground, and then being able to recover on the perimeter. But you all need a gang rebound, and Zuby's going to have to be a big, big part of that. I'm a huge believer in Zuby, but he's never once in his career had a five defensive rebound game.
Mm-hmm.
Never once in his career, and that's going to have to change. It's going to have to change soon,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to get the minutes, and he's got all the talent to do that. And I'm not worried that he's not going to be able to get rebounds, but he's got to really make it as much as he loves to hunt offensive rebounds, he's got to be equally as aggressive on the defensive boards.
Mm-hmm.
And those hands. Anybody got some stickum? John Madden, you got any stickum just lying around? We could throw that guy.
Yeah, but absolutely what you just said, especially if Zuby's going to be out on the perimeter, it's going to be essential to gang rebound. But when you have a lineup that has Kadari Richmond playing one of the guard positions, I mean, he's a big body that can get in there and rebound.
Yeah.
If Davon Smith is out on the court at the same time, I mean, he's a small guard who loves to get in and rebound. I think you saw a lot of that early in the first half when they were switching everything and Zuby was caught out on the perimeter. Aaron Scott isn't necessarily the biggest four-man in the world. I think you saw them get a lot of offensive rebound opportunities because of our big man being out on the perimeter. So I think that's something to clear up. Obviously, we can't continue to give teams 11 offensive rebounds. I think we gave up today. Yeah, that'll have to. Not, I think 9 offensive rebounds. Against a team like Fordham, shouldn't be giving up that much. But
and then I'd be remiss not to offer up my most subtle positive of tonight. Late in the game, nothing gets me going like a couple nice passes. Lefty late, Lefteris, Leotopoulos. If I'm pronounced not even close to right, I'd be shocked. A couple dimes late. I mean, 2 great looks. One was the second one was like a lofted look away pass over the top to pray for a finish, and the first one was a bounce pass off a pick and roll. And in that, those clips I cut up in the summer, that was the thing that jumped off the screen to me was his ability to pass and to playmaking and to facilitate, and his awareness. You could see him out there facilitating and moving bodies around on defense. I think this guy, if he's able to acclimate physically, I think he could be a player sooner than later. I really do. I thought maybe if he didn't get in today, the red shirt rumors would start pretty soon, but he got in and made a couple nice passes in there as it happened to be.
Sharing the sugar as a team, to have 19 assists, pretty solid. Davon Smith 6, Kadari 5, Aaron Scott 2, Brady 2.
Oh yeah. Yep, pass the ball, share the sugar, like good old Steve Lavin used to say. Some Big East teams struggling tonight, Cole. So fans out there, don't take for granted, this 32-point win. Okay, there's teams that will escape with nail biters. There's teams that might get clipped early. There'll be nights this season, I'm sure, where we might escape with some wins. These things happen, and fans forget all too easy the struggles that college programs face early on in the season. Be happy with the win. Be happy to learn those mistakes in wins and move on to the next one. For us, cruising to a nice 32-point victory is totally fine by me as well. Quinnipiac on Saturday, Cole. I guess we got to root for the other Big East teams in the meantime until then. Any closing thoughts?
Quinnipiac's in big trouble on Saturday. It looks like all the Big East teams are going to squeak away with victories. Providence
Okay.
with like a 4-point win, Butler with a 7-point win, Seton Hall with a 4-point win. DePaul's up by 2 late against Southern Indiana. But this is what killed us last year. This is what killed the metrics for the conference. It was losing these bye games. Like, we can't afford any losses. So yeah, like you said, root for the rest of the Big East. Root for another shellacking of a bye game against Quinnipiac on Saturday. Go Johnnies. Road to undefeated season. Big East champs, national champs starts today.
Yes, sir. Here we go. Thank you guys all for listening. Appreciate you as always. Thank you to Cole for putting in the work he does for this podcast. Please subscribe. Please rate. Please follow along. For Hall of Famer Marcus Hatton, I'm Pat Kane. That's Cole Atshaw. This is the Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. Peace.